Consider the sentence, "The cat sat on the mat." It serves as a near-perfect baseline for what we call pedestrian truth, a simple, observable assume that high-stakes labels like justice or guilt are just as observable as a cat in a room. We use this same linguistic logic to decide when to physically isolate a person from society. The justice system rests on the assumption that our linguistic categories map perfectly on a person's actions. In these moments, we are often confusing the map we've drawn with the actual physical territory. We are confusing human grammar with reality itself. Truth functions as a human sorting mechanism, a way of categorizing the world that we have come to treat as a law of nature. Look at this map of the phrase, "the cat sat on the mat." We only need to link terms to their pre-assigned physical reference. This doesn't require an extra metaphysical ingredient called truth. The sentence simply loops back through its own terms. The process feels seamless because the categories, cats and mats, are exceptionally stable. Everyone in the room agrees on what they are before the sentence even begins. Simple truth feels harmless because the linguistic carving of the scene is already settled. The sentence is just a re-performance of a commitment we've already made. This stability disappears once the categories are contested. Consider the famous claim from Les Miserables outside the bakery, Jean Valjean stole the bread. Physically, we only have one undeniable event. A man moved a baguette from a counter to his hands. Labeling that physical relocation as theft requires an entire institutional framework. Property is not a physical property of the bread. It doesn't radiate ownership particles. It is a social relation. We can visualize it as a pulsing boundary, a recognized rule of exclusion and enforceable claims. The act of stealing is impossible without first accepting this invisible grammar of ownership. If Valjean took that bread from his own table, the physical movement is the same, but the category of theft vanishes. When we claim a theft is true, we are taking our own invented social rules and treating them as though they are as objective as the bread itself. We see this most clearly in the phrase, "the man is guilty." It sounds like an observable property, as if guilt were a physical trait like a person's height or a scar on their arm. Willis maps a taxonomy. The center is factual guilt. Did the person commit the physical act? Next is legal guilt. Does that act satisfy the institutional description of a crime? Finally, declared guilt is a performative status conferred when an authorized body closes the case. Meanwhile, the actual human field of motivation, the hunger, the desperation, the complex internal needs, remains entirely inaccessible to this rigid system of boxes. Guilt exists as a status assigned within a specific grammar. It lives within the legal and moral rules we have constructed, not as a property discovered inside a person. This is the divide. Reality is extra-linguistic, existing entirely outside of our words. Truth is linguistic, existing only within our symbolic systems. Look at this cascading snow. A mountain can collapse, a body can feel hunger, and a bruise can form without any help from nouns or verbs. These physical consequences occur with or without our descriptions. Reality provides the constraints, it pushes back, but only language supplies the truth form required to make a claim about that reality. We can see the difference here. The fluid represents the chaotic flow of reality. Rigid artificial boxes represent the structure language imposes upon it. Language encodes our access to the world. It determines which features of reality are visible and which are awkward to state, shaping our truth-bearing claims while the world remains unchanged underneath. Recognizing property and guilt as products of human grammar allows us to see them as systems we can influence. These are not immutable laws of nature. They are frameworks constructed through language, and they can be challenged.